Hello and welcome to An Old Man Watches, and today I'm going to be talking about the 1985 anthology horror film Night Train to Terror. And in this movie we're aboard a train. It's a very literally titled film. The train is known either as the Heavenly Express or the Devil's Cannonball, depending on who you ask, and it is bound for Las Vegas, but fated to crash at dawn. Aboard the train are the world's most 80s rock band and two rather more unusual passengers, God and the Devil themselves. As the train heads to its final destination, the two supernatural beings while away the journey by judging the choices of three different people and deciding their ultimate fates. The first to be judged is Harry Billings, a man who wakes up in an asylum after he crashes his car off a bridge and kills his bride. As Harry soon finds out, however, the asylum has a deeper, darker purpose than the one that it presents to the public. Next up is would-be pianist Greta Connors, who is a member of the rather unlikely Death Club, a group of people who had near-death experiences and now try to recapture the sensation of that experience with exotic games of Russian roulette. Greta has met a new man and is thinking about moving on from the club, but others in the group are not willing to let her go. And finally we have Claire Hansen, an accomplished surgeon and devout Catholic currently tormented by dreams of Nazi slaughter and unholy monstrosities. Despite her own devout faith, Claire is married to a prominent and outspoken atheist who plans to found a utopian society based on his proposition that neither God nor the devil exist. In the context of this film, of course, we know that the husband is thoroughly misguided and his wild ideas put his wife in more danger than he could ever imagine. So now, most anthology films are designed as such from the beginning. People decide to make a film that has multiple segments in it and a wrapping framework around it, and they go out and make the film. Night Train to Terror isn't like that. Instead, it is a Frankenstein's movie created by cobbling together excerpts from three incomplete or unsuccessful films, plus some new footage to have a framing around them, in an effort to recoup something from the thus far wasted investment. Now, it may perhaps be possible to take bits of three bad films and combine them to make one good one, but the people behind Night Train to Terror certainly haven't done it. This is a largely nonsensical mess of a movie, though one that is still occasionally, if unintentionally, entertaining due to some seriously ill-considered filmmaking decisions. Let's dive into some of the film's more notable features. Now, breakdancing dates back to at least the 1970s, but it had a brief explosion of, quote, mainstream, unquote, visibility in the early to mid-80s with films like Beat Street and Breaking. The framing sequence of this movie, which constitutes the majority of the new footage that was filmed to produce it, tries to leap aboard the bandwagon by including a garish band wearing what looks to be a bunch of cast-offs from the costume department of the TV show Fame. Alas, the movie's foot slips as it launches itself, and this effort lands face first in the mud, while the bandwagon rolls off without it. The band members are hysterically white bread and preppy, despite their efforts to adopt a funky, edgy street style. If you imagine S Club 7 trying to be punk, you have some idea of the kind of overall demeanour and effect. Now, to be clear, I find the scenes of the band in them one of the most consistently entertaining parts of the movie, but it's not because they're in any way good. They're really, really, really not. The other major new piece of footage made for this movie was a stop-motion sequence involving a hideous demonic monster. This is not in principle a bad idea. Clash of the Titans was only a few years old at this point, and it had showed that well-done stop-motion could still deliver effective visuals. Heck, the filmmakers actually got competent people to do the work as well. Unfortunately, they scripted the scene to include the monster interacting with members of the human cast, despite the fact that they hadn't filmed any footage of those actors interacting with the monster because there wasn't one in the original movie, and it wasn't like they could get the actors back. So their solution was to have stop motion humans as well, little claymation versions of the actors. This is hilariously ill-advised, and it goes pretty much as badly as you might expect. I can't really fault the effects team, who, they seem to have done the best they could to meet what is frankly an insurmountable problem. but fingers do need to be pointed at the people who asked them to do it. Much like with the band, I found this ridiculousness quite entertaining, but I really don't think that the intended response to the scene was laughter, which is the principal reaction it got from me. Now, you may have noticed that my summary of the film didn't talk about the film's conclusion and its resolution of the God and the Devil plotline at all. That's not an effort to avoid spoilers, because there aren't any. This film doesn't really have a resolution to that plotline. They're God and the Devil, and they're going to go on being God and the Devil. This fact is communicated in some brief snippets of conversation in between not one but two extended repeats of the band's one and only song, complete with dreadful lip-syncing. Oh, and it also has one of the least convincing train crashes ever committed to film, which also gets squeezed in there too before. And I'm not making this up, the suddenly restored locomotive steams into the heavens with the band giving us yet another turn of their musical track. Night Train to Terror would be better named Night Train to Tee. The plot of the individual segments are not especially engaging. They're certainly not scary. The framing story doesn't actually have a plot, and the effects and the acting vary from adequate to hilariously bad. Only take this journey if you are a connoisseur of so bad it's good cinematic offerings. So that's Night Train to Terror. Next time, it's two for the price of one, as I look at both the 1974 and 2016 screen adaptations of Arthur Ansom's 1930 novel Swallows and Amazons. But that's next time. Until then, thanks for watching this video, and I hope you enjoyed it.